I, Mukul Yudhvir Singh, on behalf of the entire Mobility Outlook team, welcome you to a day dedicated to making mobility safe, secure. Before I invite Mr. Dipanshu Dev Sharma, founding editor, Mobility Outlook, to present the welcome address and set the context for the day, I would like to thank our gold partner, Continental, for making this day possible. Now, I would request Mr. Dipanshu Dev Sharma to take the podium and set the context for the day. Mr. Sharma, all over to you now.
Thank you, Mukul. Greetings, everyone. I hope all of you and your families are doing well. We all woke up this morning with the shocking news of the demise of Mr. Vikram S. Kirloskar, Vice Chairman, Toyota Kirloskar Motors. An amiable, warm-hearted personality, he will be missed dearly by everyone who knew him. We pray that his soul rests in eternal peace. Let's have a moment of silence as our respect towards the departed soul. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed an honor to have two luminaries of the mobility sector join us today in this inaugural session of our webinar, Making Mobility Safe and Secure. Dr. Arun Jora, Chief Technology Officer, Hero Motor Corp, who has for long been one of our biggest support and guide. We can't thank you enough, Dr. Jora, for making time to be part of this important conference. We truly appreciate your support. We also have with us Mr. Prashant Doreswamy, President and CEO, Continental India. Mr. Doreswamy has been for many years one of the strongest voices in the Indian industry, and we're excited to hear your thoughts today on the subject and importance of safety. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Now, road safety is one of the most pressing concerns in India, as we report around 1.5 lakh deaths in road accidents every year. While two-wheelers account for the most sales in the Indian auto sector, ironically, they also account for the highest number of accidents and fatalities. The latest Ministry of Road Transport and Highways data confirms that. What is also striking is that the severity of accidents, defined as the number of persons killed per 100 accidents, has risen sharply from 21.6 in 2005 to 36 in 2020. In fact, a report by the MORTH revealed that the severity of accidents that took place in 2020 was the highest in 2 decades. Nearly 60% of Indian states reported accident severity higher than the national average of 36. Out of the total road accidents reported in the country in 2020, 32% took place on national highways and expressways, 25% on state highways, and 43% on other roads. Two-wheelers accounted for the highest share of total accidents and fatalities among vehicle categories involved in road accidents during 2020. Light vehicles comprising cars, jeeps, and taxis came a distant second, said an MORTH report. In September this year, while addressing state transport ministers and officials, Union Minister of Road Transport and Highways, Sri Nitin Gadkari, asked them to work together to reduce road accidents and deaths by 50% by 2024, a revision by 1 year from the minister's earlier goal of 2025. The government has made a clarion call to bring the figure down to 0 by 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, it was in November last year that we first organized this webinar to bring these aspects to discussion, as well as the vehicle's role in improving safety on Indian roads. The core focus of this year's edition is on two-wheeler safety. As the main source of commute for many in India, especially in Tier 2 and rural regions, it is important that the industry introduces advanced safety technologies at affordable costs for mass market adoption. In recent years, with the rise in demand for high-performance motorcycles in India, advanced safety features to complement the riding performance has become inevitable. High-end solutions such as advanced rider assistance systems is a strong need for a market like India. How the industry adapts them to Indian requirements, makes them affordable, and available to customers would play a huge role in pushing the safety envelope in India. The role that local R&D would play in ensuring that such sophisticated technologies are introduced in the market can't be reiterated enough. The good news is almost every relevant global and local supplier and manufacturer today has invested heavily in innovating for the Indian market. Ladies and gentlemen, the transition to electric mobility, of course, also adds another challenge to vehicle safety. From a policy perspective, the Government of India amended the Motor Vehicle Act in 2019 to introduce stringent penalties for traffic violations. All new two-wheelers today are equipped with an automatic headlight on system. Moreover, for rider safety, all helmets sold in the country need to comply with compulsory quality control certifications. But this clearly isn't enough, and we as a nation, an industry, and people must do a lot more in the areas of vehicle design and engineering, infrastructure planning, legislation, and enforcement to bring down the number of accidents and fatalities involving not just two-wheelers, but every other mode on Indian roads. Ladies and gentlemen, following this inaugural session today, we have a technical session with presentations by Mr. Shinto Joseph from LDRA on functional safety for two-wheelers. Mr. Thalavai Venkatesan from Continental will talk about the new developments in two-wheeler safety-related technologies, and Mr. Rajiv Singh from Maxis Rubber would give us a perspective on the future tires for two-wheelers. The final and third session will be a panel discussion on two-wheelers key to bringing road fatalities down by 50% by 2025. Our panelists today include Mr. Ramashankar Pandey, Managing Director of Hella India Lighting, Mr. V. Shivaramakrishnan, CTO of TVS Eurogrip, Mr. Sandeep Bharadwaj, CEO of PMI Electromobility Solutions, and Mr. Sheetal Joshi, Head NSYS Technical for India, ASEAN, and ANZ. This discussion will be moderated by my colleague, our consulting editor, Mr. Murli Gopalan. Now, before I invite our esteemed guests to address you all, I would also like to take some time to present to you the findings of a study we conducted to understand the safety behavior and preferences among Indian customers. Many of you who have been following Mobility Outlook would know that every year we conduct the Indian Automotive Consumer Canvas, IACC, which is designed to be India's largest and most widespread automotive study. This study on safety behavior and preferences among Indian customers is a smaller set, yet one that captured responses from 60,000 plus people from the largest metro to the smallest town in the countryside. Vivek, I would now like to move to the presentation. So gentlemen, just give me a moment as I put up the presentation on screen. Vivek, can you confirm if you can see this?
Yes, I can see it. It is perfect.
Thank you. All right. So this is a study that we ran for just 4 days. And we, like I said, we have over 60,000 responses to this. I'll quickly take you through the objectives. Objective is very clear. We wanted to understand preferences on vehicle purchase and the rationale behind changes in preferences among customers, and to identify factors driving the buying behavior with focus on safety. Overall, we targeted audience groups starting 18 years to above 56 years. We split that across into 5 different categories, and we had representation from all genders across tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 towns and cities. And this also covered customers across two-wheelers and four-wheelers. Like I said, we received a total response number of 60,414. These responses were collected and analyzed by an internal team. The method we used was simple. The respondents self-administered the survey questionnaire that was put up on all our platforms within the Car Trade Tech group, Mobility Outlook, Car Wale, Bike Wale, as well as Car Trade. So as you can see, this was where it's 76% respondents this year were below the age of 36. The figure was 66% last year. If you look at the four-wheeler responses, they were about 71% below the age of 36. And among two-wheeler respondents, it was about 83. So what you see here is the the figures marked in red represents four-wheeler respondents. Like I mentioned, we got responses from over 1,832 towns and cities among two-wheeler respondents, with a base with the top 6 cities being Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, Mumbai, Delhi, and Kolkata. Likewise, among four-wheeler respondents, we got 8,000 or close to 8,500 responses from 1,798 towns and cities, with Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi being the top 3. From a vehicle ownership perspective, owners of cars and motorcycles comprised over 2/3 of the survey sample. In 21, we had 48% motorcycle owners and 45% of car owners who had participated in the survey. This year, very clearly, the share of scooter owners participating in the survey has gone up. We also wanted to know if customers are interested in purchasing a vehicle in the next 12 months, to which we saw that there's a strong intent to purchase a vehicle, reflecting a healthy trend in overall spending habits among customers across the country. This is somewhat lower than what we had got for this particular question last year, which at that point in time was 83%. We also asked our customers, our respondents, participants of the survey, what type of vehicle that they're likely to purchase in the next 12 months. And what is the type of vehicle most likely they'd like to purchase? While the intent to purchase new vehicles is strong, used vehicles seem to have enjoyed increasing interest. Now, among four-wheeler respondents, over 2/3 preferred to buy a new car, and 15% said they want to buy a used car. While among two-wheeler respondents, a small number of 5% and 2% wish to upgrade and purchase a new and used car respectively. This has more or less remained the same from the last year, but there has been very marginal increase from the year 2021. We also wanted to know what were the reasons for purchasing used car among our respondents. And what we've seen is value for money and lower upfront costs are two of the major factors in customers, both in the two-wheeler and four-wheeler domains, in their preference for buying used cars. This hasn't changed in the last 1 year, while we did see that good deals and warranty for used car dealers was one of the topmost options in the year 2021. We also wanted to know about their budget allocation for their vehicle purchase as a result of COVID-19, if there was any change. And what the survey found this year was that 23% among four-wheeler respondents and 19% of two-wheeler respondents cited a budget reduction of up to 50%. This is lower than the average reduction of 30% cited in the 2021 survey. However, there was no change in the number of customers willing to increase the budget to buy new vehicles. So we also wanted to know what would be their preferred type of ownership for the new vehicles. Interestingly, customers preferring to purchase vehicles at dealerships has fallen from 74% in 21 to about 65-68% this year. And we have also noticed that there's a healthy rise in the number of people open to exploring new ownerships types, looking at short-term leasing, long-term leasing, or even vehicle subscription. The next question we asked was if they were aware of safety ratings for vehicles. And if you look at the results here, 1/5 of the respondents not being aware of or sure of safety ratings, we think is a cause of concern. The good news is that this is better than the 27% in 2021. We wanted to know what does safety rating of a vehicle mean to the customer, right? So safety rating meaning more features and better protection is a healthy sign of awareness. A sizable number of respondents, in fact, close to 80% among four-wheeler respondents and 76% among two-wheeler respondents understand what safety ratings of vehicles mean. So clearly there's an increase in awareness and understanding of safety ratings in vehicles. Now in the used car, we wanted to know, would customers really prefer to buy a used vehicle with better safety rating over a new vehicle with poor safety rating? And although there's no perceptible change noticed among four-wheeler respondents since 2021, among two-wheeler respondents, the inclination to consider used vehicles has grown from 45% to 51% this year. Now, we split this question among four-wheeler respondents and two-wheeler respondents. We wanted to know how many of the following safety features are they aware of? So we gave them basic features such as airbags, ABS, ESP, ISOFIX seats for four-wheelers. And what we found was that the awareness levels about safety features in passenger vehicles continues to increase among respondents. There are marginal changes across these options that we had given them. Similarly, we also asked two-wheeler respondents about safety features that they are aware of. A small yet 12% of two-wheeler respondents, which I think is still significant, they're still not aware or sure of safety features in two-wheelers. Now, this surely calls for better awareness and education drives among consumers in the two-wheeler space. How many of the following safety features does your current vehicle have? What we found, we gave them again 4 to 5 options. 69% of four-wheeler respondents currently drive a vehicle with some of the basic safety features, key safety features including ABS, front airbags, and ESP. And almost 1/3 of respondents still drive vehicles without these features. So this is something that we must certainly take note of. Similarly, in two-wheelers, we found that 45% of two-wheeler respondents currently ride a vehicle with ABS and CBS. We wanted to know what would be the safety features that they really want in the next purchase, right? Among four-wheelers, we found that there's growing awareness about the key safety features, which is, of course, a healthy sign. And close to 70% chose to have airbags, ABS, and ESP in their next vehicles, but 7% still not particular about safety features in their vehicles. In the two-wheeler domain, there's increased awareness among two-wheeler riders about safety features, which is, of course, a welcome sign. Over 40% respondents wish to have advanced safety features in their next purchase. So that is, again, it certainly talks about the growing awareness about safety and safety technologies and features among two-wheeler customers in India. What kind of star rating would you consider for your next vehicle purchase, we asked. And, as you can see, more than 3/4 of the respondents would like to consider vehicles with 4 or 5-star rated vehicles among four-wheelers. We also wanted to know if customers are willing to pay more or stretch their budget for the vehicle with better safety rating. Now, what we found is that the number of respondents willing to stretch their budget for better safety rating increased to 61% this year from the previous year's 58%. This is among four-wheelers. And among two-wheelers, we found that 65% said they would increase their budget to buy vehicles with better safety features. We also asked, and the follow-up question was, if yes or maybe, by how much would you be willing to stretch your budget? And more than 38% of the four-wheeler respondents are willing to spend over 1 lakh rupees for additional safety features in their vehicles. And 25%, more than 25% of course, are also willing to spend over 1.5 lakh rupees for additional safety features. In the two-wheeler domain, more than half of the two-wheeler respondents are not willing to share more than rupees 10,000 for safety features, right? Although we found that 27% of two-wheeler respondents are willing to spend over 25,000 for additional safety features in their products. We wanted to know what are the reasons that, for not wanting to pay extra or stretch their budgets. And what was interesting is that 21% among four-wheeler respondents and 23% among two-wheeler respondents either don't see the need for safety features in their vehicles, or they don't see the value in paying extra for safety features. Right? So 42% and 39% among four and two-wheeler respondents feel that safety features in vehicles should come as standard to them. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this, I stop this presentation, and thank you for I ran through this presentation quickly. Anyone with more insights on this will be happy to share more details. And of course, the recording of this would also be available. I would now move on and welcome our first speaker, Mr. Prashant Doreswamy. Mr. Doreswamy is the President and CEO of Continental India, and would request him to deliver the address to us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Dipanshu. Good morning, everyone. Very pleased to be part of this eminent panel. So just talking about current safety scenario in India, I think India is growing automotive hub, and I'm sure all of you know that it's the fourth largest automotive industry in the world. The Indian road network carries nearly 90% of the country's passenger traffic and approximately about 65% of its goods. With this rapid increase in the number of cars and the two-wheelers, the diverse Indian terrain, I think road safety has become a critical factor for the citizens of the country. I think, Dipanshu, you just presented it. According to data presented by the World Health Organization, every year more than, I think, 1.3 million people lose their lives in the world road traffic accidents from all over the world, whereas 20 to 50 million people suffer non-fatal injuries, and more than half of all the road traffic deaths and injuries involve vulnerable road users like pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists as well as the passengers. Yeah. So considering the current fatality data, road safety for both passenger as well as for the pedestrian has become an important issue, and the manufacturers are now looking for improved standards and technologies to enhance this safety policy. I think in the last few years, several advancements in the safety technology can be seen, especially in the automotive sector. I think today there are two areas of automobile safety systems, one called active safety systems and the passive safety system. So talking about safety technologies that are currently available, I think in a cost-conscious market like India, the adoption of these life-saving technologies will be heavily influenced by the policy and consumer awareness. I think with the increase in awareness about the importance of automotive safety, more advanced safety technologies are set to enter the Indian market, I strongly feel. I think with the advent of safety legislations, today we see ABS as a sort of a standard features in vehicles upwards of 125cc. And also, when you talk about passenger car, dual airbag to protect the driver and the passenger in the front, while the ministry is talking about implementing 6 airbags. Yeah. I think the increased safety content as a standard feature in vehicles will also boost the R&D and the manufacture in the country, paving the way for more affordable solutions in the market. I think currently quite a lot of advanced safety technologies for both two-wheelers and also for the passenger cars are available mostly in the premium segments. But I think the challenge for OEMs and tier ones like us, how do we bring in these technologies at an affordable cost? Talking about initiatives undertaken by Government of India, I think government has taken many initiatives in the recent past to improve the safety systems in vehicles by mandating some of the active as well as also passive safety technologies in the new and older vehicles. I think various safety systems, example in a passenger car, if I talk about seatbelt reminders, speed warning systems, rear parking sensors, have been mandated for the new as well as the existing vehicles. I think since April 2019, the fitment of ABS became a mandatory for all the passenger cars. Very so, like for two-wheelers above 125cc. The implementation of technologies like moving to a next level called the electronic stability controls, emergency brake assist, and some of the ADAS technologies for the passenger cars, more so from the assisted functions, I would say, and for the two-wheelers like ADAS, optimized curve braking, TPMS, which is the tire pressure monitoring systems, and the traction control systems. For two-wheelers I think is the natural progression, and Continental has been preparing itself for it. I think both from the manufacturing perspective and also from the R&D perspective, we have been investing on these technologies to bring in at a more affordable cost, I would say. I think this proposal shows the intent of the government to improve the safety of the occupants in a case of a crash. I think the number of fatalities in the road accident is a critical issue facing the Indian auto industry today. Specifically, more so talking about safety technologies for the two-wheelers in India, I think all of us know India is the largest two-wheeler market in the world. This has certainly necessitated the prioritizing of the introduction of safety technologies by the industry. The Indian two-wheeler market is growing, and the manufacturers have now started looking at improved standards and technologies that will certainly enhance the sort of safety provisions. I think it pushes the manufacturers to be more innovative and flexible to adopt globally proven technologies to suit the local requirement. I think the onus of providing the Indian market with an affordable and a reliable safety technologies rests largely with the suppliers like us. Yeah. I think talking about active safety technology that are designed to prevent collisions and accidents from taking place is called an active system. I think their primary responsibility is to warn or prevent a vehicle from encountering dangerous situation. This could be, for example, ABS. Yeah. Second, talking about specifically more so to two-wheelers, optimized curve braking. I think we're already seeing this features in some of the high-end vehicles. So how do we make it affordable to a mass segment is what is the challenge is. I think Continental's optimized curve braking feature assists riders in applying brakes in a curves or a terrain where there is a high risk of falling due to wheel lock. Yeah. And the other one is about traction control system. Continental's traction control system features aid in reducing the tire slip in the driven wheel while accelerating on a slippery roads and the surfaces with a low mu. Yeah. Third, we are investing on the tire pressure monitoring system. So maintaining optimal tire pressures is critical for two-wheeler safety and braking performance. I think the tire pressure monitoring system uses a sensor to measure tire pressure, transmit the reading, and display it to the reader, which allows him to get an alert. And talking about advanced rider assistance system, I think the uptake in some amount of eras has become the next step for the suppliers to incorporate in the two-wheelers. Such advanced technologies is not immediately cannot be included in the vehicles across segments due to cost challenges, certainly, I think, but can be included in the mid and premium vehicle segments. The other technologies like the blind spot detection, maybe even a lane change assist, forward collision warning, some sort of an adaptive cruise control, which comforts the rider, and also the emergency brake assist, or what we call as EBA, are all part of ERAs. The blind spot detect solution uses a radar sensors to monitor the rider's blind spot in the adjacent lanes and can provide very much of a visual warnings in the event of any approaching vehicles. I think through the lane change assist feature, the system can also warn of dangerous lane changes. Yeah. So I think these are some of the active safety systems, which I think over a period of time, I'm sure country will start seeing this getting implemented in mid-segment vehicles. On talking about passive safety, I think developing countries and economies have a higher rate of road fatalities, yeah, road traffic injuries, with low and middle income countries accounting for nearly 93% of the total fatalities, unfortunately. I think considering the current fatality data, Dipanshu, what you just shared, I think road safety for both passengers as well as for the pedestrians has become an important issue, and the manufacturers are now looking for improved standards and technologies to enhance the safety provision. Further talking about passive safety technologies, they act as an extra layer of protection for the riders, yeah, and the vulnerable road users in the event of a crash. I think the main purpose of such a system is to provide the best possible protection on road users during and after the collision. So some of the smart passive safety technologies which are introduced certainly in the passenger cars is more on the airbag side. I think airbag control units now installed not only on the dashboard of the vehicle, but also on the, you are talking about 6 airbags, right? Toward the front, toward the sides, and toward the top, yeah? So airbag actually calculate the severity of fatalities, activating appropriate systems based on the assessment. I think Continental has been in the forefront in localizing the entire value chain, including the R&D to design the production according to the local customer requirements. I think in 2019, we added a new assembly line to manufacture airbag control units at Bangalore plant, and today we are one of the biggest manufacturer of airbag control units. So the other one is post-crash braking. Yeah, post-crash braking is useful when the driver fails to react after a collision. I think this is where the e-bar comes into picture. In these cases, the vehicle brakes automatically are applied to avoid a sort of a secondary collisions that would endanger the vehicle occupants or the road users. So and the other one certainly is when you all bringing in these technologies, how do you secure your vehicles from the cyber attack? I think that's some cyber security is another additional challenge. I think earlier the automotive vehicles were used as a sort of a mediums to travel from point A to point B, but now I think they're getting transformed as an IoT device, yeah, on wheels because of the multiple sensors, actuators, devices that are connected to the internet at all times. I think this has also led to a technological disruption in the automotive industry in terms of digitalization, automation, and connectivity. As the comfort and the convenience quotient of rapidly increasing vehicles, incorporations of advanced and latest technologies is also on the rise. I think next you're talking about the connectivity also as a feature, right? All of us experienced this at our home few years back. Then we started experiencing that in our offices. Now we expect, because we spend a lot of time in our vehicles, we expect our vehicles also be fully connected. I think connectivity has entered the vehicle of today, and with the introduction of 5G in India, the number of connected vehicles is bound to increase. I think the Indian connected vehicle market is now growing at an exponential rate, driven primarily by consumer demand. As per the latest market reports, the Indian connected car market will reach nearly about 32 billion by 2025. I think while the connected mobility has opened doors for further innovation and is crucial for the transformation towards the autonomous vehicle, it has also opened doors for threats and vulnerabilities. I think if we talk about the cyber crimes, cyber criminals continue to target the businesses, essential infrastructure, and the government's particular. I think according to the latest government report, I think over 670,000 cases of cyber attacks were reported till June of 2022 in India alone. Again, vehicles have become much more vulnerable because they are connected to the other devices that are connected to the internet, and this will only increase as in the future vehicle will also be connected to the other vehicles. Well, I'm talking about vehicle to infrastructure, and vehicle to the ecosystem, and so on. So this has made cybersecurity, I think, another important aspect as the possibility of security breach increasing with the advancement of technologies. I think growing about importance of software in the automotive industry. I think software is increasingly becoming an important part of the automotive industry and is oil for the future, I would say. Yeah. As the industry moves towards more on the autonomous vehicle, the complexity of technology is also increasing multifold. Vehicles today have multiple control units that are critical for functioning of the vehicle. Yeah. They control all aspects of safety, including the braking, if it is a car, airbag deployment, and other features like connectivity, navigation, remote diagnostics that help the vehicle maintenance. I think today's, if I have to talk about today's cars have in excess of about 100 million lines of code. And by 2030, it is predicted to go nearly to about 1 billion lines of code. And we will also have many more devices connected to the internet. I think, yeah, in this scenario, automotive software, from my perspective, is going to become a critical component to provide a sort of a holistic experience to the consumer. It is estimated the software content market size for the vehicles will grow multifold to reach about 1.2 trillion. That's the expectations, yeah, by 2030, from about currently nearly about 300 billion. Yeah, so that's almost 5 times increase. And lastly, talking about what are the initiatives undertaken by Continental. I think Continental India has been working on the development of new safety regulations that cater to the demand and needs of the Indian market, as an ambassador for Vision Zero, what we call zero fatalities, zero injuries, zero crashes, Continental has always believed in safety is for all, and it is not negotiable. Continental believes in creating a sort of an end-to-end value creation, starting from a marketing, R&D to production and the sales. Continental's, we do have a largest tech center in India located in Bangalore, where we have nearly about 5,000 engineers working across automotive domains. Yeah. And talking about our engineers at Tech Center, they have contributed widely to the development of advanced safety technologies for the Indian market. Continental has now been working on developing some affordable ABS solutions for both. If you see today, it's still applicable for more than 125cc because to some extent, it's an affordability issue also. So what we call as Continental's Minibab, it's a one-channel ABS product, is designed for the smaller motorcycles and the scooters. I think this system will prevent help us to contribute lesser accidents or making vehicle stable. Yeah. So also Continental aims to update professionals so that they could keep themselves abreast on the fast-changing disruptive technologies developments in the automotive industry. I think Continental has set up its own internal software academy to train its automotive engineers across 100 plus locations in 62 countries. So I would say these are some of the initiatives which Continental is working on to drive the safety features in the India. I know it's a challenge because at the end of the day, it comes to the affordability. We need to have a clear balance of how much is the content which can happen at the same time so that it doesn't jeopardize on the sales part of it. So that's the challenge. As a company, for us, the challenge is not bringing in the technology, but how do you bring in these technologies and make it affordable to the Indian market, since India market is very value-driven, is the challenge which currently we are working on. With that, Dipanshu, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us that, wide sort of perspective in terms of where the market stands, the initiatives that Continental as an organization is taking. Zero crashes, zero fatalities, zero accidents. I mean, Vision Zero, that's what the nation is also driving towards. And your initiatives in terms of making technologies right for the Indian market at affordable costs will go a long way in ensuring that Indian roads and Indian vehicles become safer. Thank you so much, Mr. Doraiswamy. Truly appreciate you joining us today. Please stay on with us. We have got some questions which we will take after Dr. Jora's speech. At this stage, I would like to welcome Dr. Arun Jora, Chief Technology Officer at the country's largest two-wheeler maker, Hero MotoCorp. Dr. Jora, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Dipanshu. Thank you for that opening. Good context, and thank you, Prashant, for that nice overview of various things. So first of all, I'm delighted to be here, and thank you for inviting me for this forum today. Being the largest two-wheeler manufacturer in the country or in the world, actually, it's our responsibility also to make sure safety is prime, safety is basically percolated in terms of our products, whether it's scooters, whether it's commuters or premium bikes. So that is our commitment, and to the customer, to the ecosystem, to all our stakeholders in the ecosystem. So what I'm going to do, Dipanshu and the audience, is I'm just going to quickly, I made some slides. I'm going to talk through them. Some of the information has been already talked about by you, Dipanshu, and also Prashant. So it might be repetitive, but nevertheless, I'd like to kind of share it with you here. So can you see my screen well?
Yes, Dr. Jora, we can.
Wonderful. So making mobility safe and secure, what are the role of two-wheelers? And I'm just going to stick to the two-wheeler business, although I come from different automotive mobility backgrounds, but this particular exchange is going to be on two-wheelers. Essentially, the context today, the global context on road safety, what it is, where it is, approximately 1.3 million fatalities each year are a result of road traffic crashes. If you look at this, more than half of the road traffic deaths are among vulnerable road users, whether it's pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, Also, I would say some of these are attributed to civic sense and the rush to sort of get ahead of the other vehicle. Also, speed is becoming an issue because now we have, when I say issue, not in that way, but we have very good expressways, we have very good roads. When you have a vehicle, when you have a two-wheeler that can actually touch 100 kilometers, but then you don't have other safety features around the road, then there are challenges as well. So as a rider, it's also our responsibility or the rider's responsibility to make sure that he or she is sort of looking at those aspects: control on the bike, control on the two-wheeler, the way they're handling it, the traffic, etc., etc. And 93% of the world's fatalities on the roads occur in low and middle income countries, even though these countries are approximately owning 60% of the world's vehicles. So we are, as was mentioned earlier, we make about 20 million vehicles a year as India. Okay, and and it goes on year. So that's a large of two-wheelers on the road. And how do we manage that traffic and the safety is something that's very, very important. Now, India accounts for approximately 11% of the global deaths due to road conditions. India is home to about 0.4 million accidents out of the 1.3 million. This was mentioned earlier as well. If you look at the road accidents in India between 2011 and 2021, and also look at what the two-wheeler is contributing in terms of this number, it's pretty high. Okay, and then the numbers are there. There's just a graph showing you where we are in terms of road accidents. So we talked about two-wheeler account for about 43% of the total accidents. 40% of a two-wheeler accident leads to death most of the times. Again, if you don't somebody not wearing a helmet, going too fast, jumped over a speed bump, went to a pothole, hit a roadblock, a barrier, rammed into a truck or a bus or a car in front of them, or got beat up from the back, etc., etc. 56% of two-wheeler accidents are caused by overspeeding, as I was mentioning earlier, and followed by our careless driving at 28%. You have your cell phone. I mean, look at the two-wheeler riders on the road. They have their cell phone, it's stuck in their ear. And then nowadays, if you go to a lot of these cities, the two-wheeler owner, he or she has removed the rear view mirrors on both sides. The government wants you to have this for safety, but as soon as he or she buys it, they take it off because it's very stylish. Now, when you don't have that, how would you see traffic that's coming behind you, approaching from behind? Or how would you make a turn without being able to see, And so these are also careless riding of a vehicle. And I think that's important. So again, I talked about civic sense, talked about rider training, talked about road safety. As Hero MotoCorp, we, like I said, we have a lot of responsibilities. So we also engage in a lot of the safety training, driver safety, rider safety, road safety, passive, active, both. So that a lot of those things are also not only an OEM's responsibility, but the entire ecosystem around us. Additional safety regulations have been introduced in the country, in the world. In fact, there are some very unique to India, and these are, I mean, look at the pictures here. Protective devices for motorcycles. Example, sari guard. Okay, we call it sari guard. Okay, somebody could be wearing a loose lungi, or somebody could be wearing a salwar or whatever attire. So we have that. Spray suppression devices for motorcycles, brake hose, talk about hydraulic brake fluids. Gradability requirements have been defined clearly now. The wheel rim, the AIS standards have been defined in terms of durability. Also, interestingly, a lot of the economy and India was, again, people talk about B2B business growing, deliveries, pizzas, food, etc., etc. And India has been doing this for many, many years. Okay. Suddenly this B2B is growing up. You talk about any forum you talk to, or any non-Indian economy, they talk about B2B. Here in India, this has been going for a very long time. But having said that, when you put a big box on the pillion and carry weight on that, there are dimensions that have been defined. There are weight limits that have been defined, but that does not matter to a lot of our customers, or a lot of our riders, or a lot of our livelihood providers as well. So Indian safety regulations, if you look at 1989 to 2000, okay, in the two-wheeler space, it was mainly about auto bulbs, speedometers, uh, and then it came about gradability, brakes, horns, etc., that the picture that you saw earlier. Then between 2001 and 2010, it talked about brake hoses, talking about pillion hand holding, wheel rims, the tires. Fast forward 2010 onwards, talked about the fuel tanks, the footrest safety, the stands, the AHOs, the spray suspension, the ABS, CBS was talked about as well, external projections. A lot of bikes now, or a lot of our two-wheelers have the safety feature. When it's on the side stand, if the side stand has not been pushed in properly, the vehicle won't start, etc. So these are safety features for the rider and the pillion. Something that has not changed for India, there's a lot of dependency on two-wheelers, whether it's for mobility, whether it's a livelihood, whether it's leisure, whether it's family transportation. Some pictures that we see in common everyday life in India. Again, it's not necessarily a tier 2 or a tier 3 city or the rural economy, but also, you're riding in Delhi, you can see this, or in a big city like Chennai or Bangalore or wherever. So it's not just a vehicle. It's also a necessity, an enabler for better livelihood, especially in many parts of the country. Okay, and this is our lifeline. This is lifeline on two wheels, and this is a very important fabric of the Indian culture and the Indian ecosystem. India thrives a lot on two-wheelers, and that's market, and that's why you see 20 million plus vehicles, two-wheelers in the marketplace every year, sold by various manufacturers. Data also show that the risk in a two-wheeler crash is much higher compared to cars or four-wheelers, because you're exposed. You could have a naked bike, you could have a bike with fairing, or even if it's a scooter. So what it means is it requires regulations and actions in enhancing active and passive safety for two-wheeler riders. And this is prime for us. It's a top priority because the rider's safety is critical in terms of even traffic safety, in terms of other safeties. Also, I mean, nothing new that we're not aware of. India is a very cost-sensitive market, where what the technologies that we bring from different mature markets that are relevant to the two-wheeler ecosystem in India have to be localized, have to be affordable, have to be sustainable. We might drive a value proposition to the customer. Now, the customer is only going to pay when he or she can actually afford to pay that. So it's again, the two-wheeler space is very different from a four-wheeler or a six-wheeler space. In a two-wheeler space, the safety features, some of them are hygiene, which we really need to have. Unlike four-wheelers, where you can actually have different variants and keep upgrading and say, I'm going to have this, and these things. The hygiene is a must. And we think and we actually believe that the hygiene involves a lot, and whatever localization that can be done is important for us and for our riders. I'm just trying to remove that icon that's covering this. So in terms of features, there's been progressive innovation in safety, and these have driven mass adoption of by value additions across different markets. And when we talk about different markets, talking about different markets inside India, now I'm just taking to the Indian ecosystem, where you to go to a tier 1 city, a tier 2 city, a tier 3 city. What is hygiene? Like I was saying, earlier, hygiene are these things that you're seeing on the screen. I'm not going to repeat through this. Then what is also the Indian safety, the Indian ecosystem, the Indian mobility is also transitioned into a lot of connectivity. TPMS, you talk about motorcycle stability control, it was just talked about by Prashant. Hill holding assist, traction control, this is a progression. And then of course, you go further down in terms of health parameter integration, emergency alerts, adaptive headlights, airbag, clothing, helmets, smart helmets. So these are things that the technology is getting towards in terms of safety. It is percolating into two-wheel space. It is there in a lot of mature markets. What out of that can come to India is very, very important. And so, we have a lot of these products that in the next few months, you're going to see us from Hero coming out in terms of what are these safety features. So basically, where we call future tech, we are there. We are the future of mobility, and we are there. So you'll see a lot of this feature on the right side in our upcoming two-wheelers in the next few months for sure. Advanced rider assistance was talked about as well. Globally, AR/AS is considered to be the biggest safety bet. Yes. Is it pertinent or applicable in India? Is a question out there. Are we doing much in this? There is. We are dabbling. Some of us are dabbling in that space. But in the mature markets, yes. I mean, if you look at this picture, it's just demos, and you're talking about what kind of things are happening in terms of development in this space. It's like ADAS in the four-wheel space. Okay, how much of ADAS do you see in India? Or do we think that ADAS is going to be a possibility in India? Time will tell. Let's see how it is. So the Indian market isn't about high-cost solutions. We all know that. Instead, it appreciates leading world standard efficient and sustainable solutions. And this is something that we keep talking about in different forums. And a lot of this we practice and deploy in our vehicles when we sort of put them on the road. And we also have to create an ecosystem for long-term sustainable development, whether it's partnership with our tier one vendor partners, whether it's academia, whether you're talking about academic or the research institutions that we have in India. We'll have to do a lot of these together to kind of take this forward in terms of mass adoption of technologies and safety features. Now, in the two-wheeler safety and industrial space, becoming more and more digital, and this is something that is a very, very fast progressing trend. What you see on the screen is a TFT from the VIDA electric scooter that we launched on October 7th. We unveiled it there. We have the world saw it. So basically, just an example from that, it's a user interface design. The typeface, the legibility, the contrast, the size, just to ensure that the information is readable at a glance. Okay. Now, it's also basically the visual semantics help the users link the touch points. We have different screens, so you can kind of walk through screens as you go there. It's also easy to operate. Yes, and it can be operated in a dark mode and light mode, etc., etc. This is again an example. I'm just showing an example here. The experience, the user experience design, that is again very important. We are as automobile users, whether it's a two-wheeler, four-wheeler, or whatever we ride or drive, we are used to a certain thing. You're used to looking at dials, the analog. Now transitioning into the digital space or digital screens is also important because that helps us in terms of reducing the cognitive load and helps understand faster. So there are pop-up telltales that will actually tell you, okay, the state of charge is this, or you're going to approach a left-hand turn, be ready, put on your indicator, left indicator or right indicator, etc. So when these pop up, it also is sort of helpful to the rider. And of course, you have to position it properly in terms of critical information. You're riding, let's say 50 kilometers an hour, 60 kilometers an hour. You also have to make sure that it's positioned properly so that the rider is not taking off his or her eyes from the road when they look at the screen or the TFT. So something that the whole industry is transitioned pretty fast, and it'll actually see a lot more changes going forward. And then the very favorite topic for the last several months is, are e-scooters safe? Yes, they are safe. And, there are lots of things that OEMs do, a lot of things that manufacturers have done and are still doing. The government has done quite a bit. In terms of EVs, there are stringent safety norms. Okay. Now, as Hero MotoCorp, when we launched or unveiled our VIDA V1 and the Pro and the Plus, we made sure that everything that was necessary, everything that was more than necessary was done in terms of safety norms, like vibration and mechanical shock test, talk about fire resistant test, talk about over discharge protection, talk about mechanical drop test. And the mechanical drop test is basically you take a battery, okay, which is sort of the powerhouse of the vehicle. You drop it from 1 meter height, and then the battery should not damage and still function. And I think that's just an example. You immerse it in the water, you do the IP67, IP68, IP69, depending on what electronics you have on the vehicle. You also make it go through the overcharge protection, over temperature protection, do a lot of these shock tests Some of these shock tests actually touch 50G. Okay. And so, and just to put it in perspective, when a rocket takes off, it's about 9G. Okay. So we test the batteries to that extent. So all these tests are making sure that the safety norms in the EVs are beyond what we can see on the road in case of a fatality. So the Ministry of Heavy Industries also has put in some test guidelines for FAME and PLI. On the left, you see something for the cell level requirements. In the middle, you see something for the BMS, the battery management system. And then on the right side, you see at the battery pack level, how do we sort of make sure that all these are covered? I'm not going to go through this long list here. You've all seen this in different formats. But again, just to ensure that, yes, the electric scooters, the electric vehicle are safe, provided we make sure we meet all these regulations, we meet all these testing standards, we do the validation, we do the right analysis, and also make sure that the robustness is as important. So to conclude, I would say the OEMs and other stakeholders need to join hands, of course, for cost-effective innovations, to enable simple and advanced safety technologies that can be widely deployed across different segments of mobility in the two-wheel space. And I say, the commuters, the scooters, the premium bikes, the high-speed bikes, and of course, the electric vehicles. So with that, I want to thank you and for your time and your patience. I'm going to give it back to you, Dipanshu. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Jora. You did bring about a very critical aspect at the end, talking about key collaborations that the industry certainly need to work on to ensure we have better safety, not just in products, but also overall in the country. Mr. Doreswamy and Dr. Jora, we have quite a few questions. We will try and take as much as possible. The first one is, do you think infrastructure needed to implement ADAS or safety features in vehicles in India exists? Lane keep assist, for instance. This is a question from Rajesh K. Mr. Doreswamy, this is for you, if you could take that.
Sure, certainly. I think when you talk about ADAS, we need to split into automated, assisted, and autonomous driving. Where autonomous and automated could be a long dream for India, honestly. But I think there's a lot of things which we could be done with the assisted functions. Assisted functions, when you talk about forward collision warning, lane departure system, the blind spot detection, or the emergency brake assist. Already you see this happening in most of, we thought it's only applicable for premium segments, but even some of the mid-segment cars in the bracket of 15 lakhs, you see some of these functions getting added. I think that's what our prediction is in the future, next couple of years, or maybe next 4 to 5 years, this is going to be a sort of a standard equipment.
Okay, all right.
And maybe,
yeah.
Sorry, I had one more question. Somebody by name gentleman Mukul Kumar, so I've answered it. I think what are the safety functions? I think first is ABS. How do we bring it below 125cc? Today, it's above 125cc. I think maybe a single channel could do for below 125cc. And the second is as an added feature, ride modes in the ABS, where you can select the mode depending on the terrain, and the optimized curve braking. And the fourth is traction control system. I think these are some of the safety systems which I'm sure we'll see next 3 to 4 years getting added to the bikes. Apart from this, some of the other things could be tire pressure with people getting more educated. I think tire pressure monitoring systems, and also some of the ADAS systems. Yeah, I'm sure that will be only in the premium segment. I don't think that will be a mass segment penetration, but maybe 250 or 300cc and above, we could see some of the rider assistance systems.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Jora, I'll take a question to you. This is, gentlemen, asked, cybersecurity is a big challenge in India. Is there any initiative from Indian government for this? If I may add to this, if you could also talk about cybersecurity from an industry perspective, and also talk about functional safety from Hero MotoCorp perspective.
Yes, so two questions. First, let's talk about cybersecurity. Okay. Now, in terms, today we share a lot of data. Now, as a customer, when I buy a bike or a car, okay, what I'm doing is I'm committing myself to sharing my personal data, a lot of personal data that's actually with the OEM. Okay. Now, the OEM could share that with their tier one or tier two, depending on what the system is. Number one, this data travels from my phone to my car, from my car to wherever, to a cloud sitting somewhere. Now, how, and then part of this is also taken by the government to look at regulations. Some insurance company might say, I want the data to understand the driving habits so I can give the insurance premium, etc., etc. So a lot of my data, once I sign up and buy a vehicle, is already gone. Now I'm giving my consent with a trust that, the OEM or whoever I'm giving it to is going to be sharing it going to keep it discreet. Now, when this data goes all over, you're basically opening up your personal space to a lot of people, a lot of your information. So, and this data can also be sort of hijacked by various people for various reasons. Okay. Now, there are cybersecurity norms that are being put in place. They are put in place overseas. Still, again, not watertight. In India, yes, there's a lot of discussion around this. There is a lot of framework that's been put around this. Whether it's watertight is a question that we have to ask ourselves and ask the agencies that we sit on with. So cybersecurity is a very, very important thing. When I put a GPS in my vehicle, somebody can track me from A to B to C to D. Now that is a very, very important data that anybody can see, So that data is also, when it travels from the vehicle to the cloud, and there's also several APIs that are there in terms of things that we do in the car, or actually in the car. Let me take the example of a four-wheeler, where you actually can put in your credit card data and pass it on to somebody else. So that is one thing that we really need to address as industry, as government, as various stakeholders, to put in these watertight compartments around this. And I think there's room for improvement. Let's put it that way. Right. And as Hero MotoCorp, we have Connect 1.0, we have Connect 2.0 that we do, where actually the vehicle connects to various V2X, let's call it. Okay. So in the V2X space, there's a lot of things that we do. So we have put our sort of firewalls, our sort of barriers to sharing that data. But then again, there can be a lot that can be done as well.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Chaura. We have a question for you from Mr. Pramod Amte. He wants to know, can you detail OBD regulation changes expected in coming years, and what component changes and more cost implications will be there for 2023 and 2025?
Interesting question. So OBD phase A is coming out, and we have to be compliant by April 1st, 2023. And we have the OBD phase B or phase 2, which is about April 2025. So so what is OBD2? Basically, it's onboard diagnostics, right? So in phase A, what the government is telling us as OEMs or as stakeholders is, the vehicle has to be able to talk to you, and you have to be able to talk to him. When you say talk, not literally, have changes that you can. So if there is a telltale that's glowing up, it has to tell you. If the sensor, the oxygen sensor that we put has to change. So there will be slight modifications in the ECU. There will be some modifications in terms of the sensors that are there. There are 15 variables that will change in the whole thing. Again, and then we'll have to actually get type approvals for these. So whether it's a 100cc, 400cc, 200cc, whatever a two-wheeler that you're talking about, will have to go through this. So that's phase A. And then phase B is a lot more, where you can actually give freedom to the consumer or the rider to actually, make changes and convey that to your dealership, etc. Right now, it's being able to understand, read it. That's all. That's all it is. Yes.
Right.
So we are all working towards it as OEMs, and certainly, if you want to be there in the marketplace, we'll have to kind of meet those regulations for sure.
Right. I'll take one final question. This is from Mr. Satish KG. He asks, Dr. Chaura, any challenges for introducing electronic safety features in two-wheelers, as such additional gadget safety may be at stake, as there is no locking system like the case in four-wheelers?
Interesting question. I mean, if I look at an IC internal combustion vehicle, two-wheeler, okay, I'm just going to talk about two-wheelers. And you're right, in four-wheeler, you can cover it, lock it, etc., etc. In the two-wheeler, for example, okay, on the EV that we just unveiled, okay, and we're launching, we basically have 8 controllers on that. Now, some of them are tucked in, some of them are visible. But yes, the question is, they are mounted very well. It's just like having an engine control in the internal combustion engine, or the body control module in the engine, IC vehicle. So here you have, besides these 2, you have 6 more or 5 more, depending on how you do it. Now, they are secured properly, they are positioned properly, they are located properly in the two-wheeler. Now, nothing is at Fort Knox. Even Fort Knox can be challenged. So if somebody wants to actually take it out, they can find ways to take it out. But I would say the question more would be, why would somebody take out a controller or a computer of the little computer that's on a two-wheeler? So that is sort of the thing. Of course, now the other aspect of this is these are exposed to water, dust, rain, slush, etc., etc. So we have proper protection, proper sealings. A lot of these go through IP65 and the IP67 testing as well. Okay, and the worst thing I would say that we face, and when I say worst thing is, when you go to a car wash or a bike wash, okay, the pressure in that thing is so high. The guy takes that jet and then sticks it on the controller, trying to clean that little speck of dirt. And that can actually, over a period of time, affect how you design. So even those ceilings that we do are very, very robust. And that is one of the, an irritant in the two-wheeler space, because there everything is exposed. Okay, and when that guy puts that, it's at 80 bar. Okay, you can actually pierce that through your hand, literally. Okay, so when that kind of pressure comes on the controllers, on the wiring harnesses, etc., etc., that is something that we design our products and our harnesses and everything else. Yes, I know that answered the question, but I think that's what I have for now.
I'm sure it adds a lot of perspective, Dr. Jawhara. Thank you, gentlemen, for participating in this session today. Mr. Doraiswamy, Dr. Jawhara, truly appreciate you taking time. Of course, we have a lot more questions and comments coming in, but for the paucity of time, we will wrap up this session at this juncture. Thank you once again. Truly appreciate you joining.